Hello, this is Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and I recently put up some videos on making reflectors to boost the signal away straight out from the controller for your Mavic. Actually, work with a Mavic, a Mavic 2. I think it works with a Spark and with a Mavic Air. So it'll work for any of those, I think. I'm pretty sure. And in my last video, I showed using a Popcan reflector. And so I thought it's not that hard to do. You just have to have like what you see here. You don't even have to have this, but this is what I use. So what we'll do is we'll keep this and we'll move everything else over to the side and get it out of the way. And we'll get, this is what we're going to end up with, okay? We're going to end up with something that looks like this. I think I'm going to try to make it a little bigger this way. We'll see how that goes, okay? But first of all, we have to get the ends off. Now, I always start at the hard end, the thick end. See, they press these out of like a little piece of aluminum. And so this is the thick end, and this is the thin end. So I like to start with the thick end, get that behind me, and just a real sharp knife, or anything you can think of. Actually, might even be able to poke a hole in it and use scissors, but I always use a knife. And I get both of my arms on the table so I don't make a mistake and cut myself. So here we go. We're going to get started. I put most of my pressure on this part here, keep from smashing this. And then if you can lift it away from the other part, it helps a little bit too in cutting. Okay, I think we're close enough down there. Take our scissors. We got what we need. So we'll toss that out. Now then, on these Arizona, you could use any kind of a can, but these give us the largest piece, and it has to be about that long to fit onto the be clear of the antennas on the controller. But there's a line right along here, and if we cut along that line, we can get a nice square edge if we're careful. All right. So we'll just let's see. We'll cut right down the middle of it. And if you look at the point of the scissors when you're cutting, instead of looking down here, you get a much straighter line. Now, there's a little water in there, so we'll take something and kind of dry it out, just so it won't be annoying. That's good enough. Now we're going to take our scissors and get rid of all this jagged stuff. And we want to cut as close as we can to the jagged stuff so we can get as much width to our antenna booster as possible. So get it started here. Okay. Now that's a little bit too curled up, and so what I do is I run it over the edge of the table just enough to get it kind of straightened out. And what you do is you lay it on the edge. Now let me see here. Let's move this over to the edge. We'll just move it over this way, right there. That should work. And start about there, and then just start rolling back and forth. Now, move this back to where it belongs, right about there somewhere. Now, I like neatness, and so I make most of my marks on the back side, okay? And let's see. It looks to me like we got a pretty good piece here. Get my ruler. Oh yeah, we got a nice piece here. Okay. Now, on this one, I made this 4 inches, but I'm going to make this one about 5 inches, and we'll see if it makes a difference. I'll go test it out tomorrow morning, okay? So what we want to do is we want to make a nice straight edge there, and I don't have a straight edge per se, but I have a 3x5 card. Okay, so I line that up like that. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay. Okay, now we've got a nice square reference line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the scissors and cut along that line. Give us a nice 90-degree reference. So that's good for reference. Now if I'm going to make it 5, if you'll notice, I put a little hem on this thing. That stops it from flopping all over the place. Plus, it keeps you from cutting yourself on the edge. So, here's my straight edge. Now, if I'm going to make it 5 and bend over a 1/4 inch on each side, we're going to have to make it 5 1/2. Okay? So, whoops, we don't need you. Thank you for coming back. Appreciate it. All right, that is done. Now we're going to have to make our little hem on the end. So we'll measure 1/4 inch. Okay, let me see here. Get my head out of the way. That one. I gave up on trying to keep my desktop neat. Okay. Now the next part, you need something that's heavy duty. Now that's why I use this metal ruler, because it's not going to bend. But what we need to do is we need to fold this piece back over this piece. And the way I do it is, let's get you out to the edge again here. The way I do it is get close to the edge so I can pinch my hand over that. I take my screwdriver I go back and forth like that. We'll get you back here where you belong now. I think that's about right. Okay, once I get it done with the screwdriver, then I can actually work it with my fingers. Back and forth several times. Okay, that's pretty much got it. I just take this and lay it on top of it. Pretty much finish it off. Okay, and if that doesn't do it well enough, then I take this and I run it along like so. And that's pretty much got that side. Okay, so we'll do the other side. All right, well, my old GoPro 4 camera is getting undependable, and halfway through the video, when I was just finishing these up, he decided he didn't want to do any more today. So I'm using my iPhone to finish this, and hopefully it'll be okay. I didn't have these cut, okay, so we're going to go around over here, and I'll show you how to measure this out. How to measure it out and to cut the slots. Now, I use my knife. Let me get my knife out because I already put everything away. I use my knife, and I use that very sharp edge to poke. And I pull, what I do is, I run my knife across here like this, real hard, and I have it on a piece of wood, which I got put away now, but anyway, I lay it out on a piece of wood so I don't cut my table. And I be very careful to make sure that I don't go beyond my marks, okay? So, and then you do not cut, you just fold down. You cut here, here, and here, and you fold down the aluminum. I'm sorry, I'm a little frustrated with my technology from the old days. So, how do we know where these go, okay? What I did was I put, let's see, let's measure this across here. Okay, so it's about 9 inches across. Half a 9 is 4.5. So as you can see, about 4.5, I made a mark. Now, these have to be about 2.5 inches apart in order to go over the antennas. So you come out from the middle, you come out 1.25 inches each direction, and then you make marks. Now, the top of this is 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. So the very top of these holes is 3/4 of an inch. I'll put a drawing on. Anyway, 3/4 of an inch, and they're also 3/4 of an inch wide. Okay, and they can be wider than that. And this is not rocket science. So you come in, cut it in half. Come a quarter and or 1.25 inches over this direction, 1.25 over this direction, and start your marks. These are 3/4 of an inch across, and the top line is 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. So that's all the measuring you have to remember. And you use something sharp to cut these slots, but don't cut the bottom line, because the bottom line is it's got to be folded. Let me show you why. I'll be right back. I got to get my... All right, so here we have the antennas, and the way this is going to work is there's the front, and so this guy here is going to come down over these guys like that, and then we're going to fold it back over this way. And in the process, if it gets, let me show you here. If it gets if these aren't rolled down, if you just cut it off, they're going to get stuck on these things. You're going to have a hard time getting that sharp edge to slide up off of that antenna. Okay, I learned the hard way on the first try. So it's like I said again, the measurements are pretty easy: 3/4 and 3/4, and 2.5 apart. And you know, if it's off one way or the other way, it's not a big deal. All right. I wish my GoPro would have been nice to me, but it wasn't. Okay, now the next thing I need to do is, like, you would have to be real careful to cut around here. And I don't know, maybe even a paper punch would work on aluminum. I've never tried it. But these don't have, it's not rocket science. Okay, just regular old electrical tape will do the job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel some off here somewhere. And put it on the antenna like that. Okay, and we'll do another one. Okay, put that one on the antenna like that. Now, and by the way, I don't have any sticks on it or anything, because you're going to be manhandling it to get everything to work. So we take and we run the where's it at? I can't see. I got too many lights on here. Okay, we got that like that. We're going to take this tape and pull it straight up like so. Make sure it's stuck on the antennas nice and tight. And then we pull this around to where it kind of lines up with everything. We set it on top, tape, set it on top, tape. And you want to make sure you use a good tape, because halfway through the flight you don't want it coming undone and you're way out to where it won't connect anymore. So that's it. That's how you make it. It's not that difficult. Now you notice I got these out a little bit, and I don't know how much difference that's going to make, but you can always undo them and put them back like you want them. Now that's going to be a little deeper, and I'm going to take it out tomorrow morning and test it, and I'll let you know. Well, I will let you know how it works. It may give me more distance. It may give me less distance. And if it gives me less distance, then I'll go ahead and I'll cut a 1/2 inch off of this and make it 4.5 instead of 5. And we'll just keep working on it until we get it perfect. All right? So I'm sorry about the video being kind of messed up, but I want to thank you very much for watching. And if you have questions, put them into the comments. And thank you for watching, and God bless.